Okay, today we're going to paint the sphere. So you need to print this out. You need to have a little bit of water. You need to have a primary color, black and white. We're going to be painting monochromatically, which just means one color with black and white. You need to have some brushes. You need to have some scrap paper, and you need to have your handout ready. To start, we're going to do the inside of the sphere. So what you want to do first is put some white paint, a good amount on a piece of scrap paper. And then what we're going to do is paint this about the first 3 or 4 rings white. And you're going to be generous with your paint. And now you're going to take a little bit of blue and you're going to dab most of it off, and you're going to make yourself a baby blue with the remaining white paint. What you're going to do is you're going to lay that down right there. Then you're going to add another dab of blue, get most of it off, add it to this amount right here, and you're going to make it a little bit darker. You're going to lay that down. And you're painting in a curved manner. You're going to curve your wrists. Then I'm going to add more blue paint to my scrap paper here. I'm going to make it a little bit darker. And I'm going to add that to it. Why it's wet? It has to be wet. And then I'm going to either get a different brush or clean my brush. And I'm going to put a little bit of water on there. And in a curved manner, I'm going to start here and blend my way up, cleaning my brush when I go to a new color. And then dragging it up into the white, cleaning my brush each time. I got a little goober over here, so I have to fix that. Dragging it up, getting gradually darker. And then leaving this portion white. But I'm curving my wrist. So this part isn't dark enough, so I'm going to go back and add some blue to that. And just put a couple dabs in there. Get the rest of the blue off on the scrap paper. Put a little bit of water in there, and I'm going to go back, curve my wrist, left and right, curve my wrist. And add it back and forth. Get off the blue off my brush on the scrap paper. And I'm going to blend that in. Dragging it back up. So the key thing to take away from this when you're blending the paint is that you do it while it's wet. You curve your wrists and blend it gently together. It shouldn't be stair-steppy. Those are just kind of guides in there. Okay. Okay, now we're going to paint the shadow. We're going to take a little bit of blue paint and we're going to put it over here. You can't see that, sorry. And then you're going to take a little bit of black and put like half a drop of black in this section right here. And then you're going to take a whole drop of black and put that in there. So you have 2 shades of black. The first one with just like a little bit and the one with a lot more. Then we're going to take our brush and we're going to turn our paper a little bit and we're going to paint around the sphere. And again, it's okay to turn your paper, and we're painting in a curved manner. And we're going to try and get as close as we possibly can to the sphere. If you want, you can let that dry. We're going to paint that out, and then we're going to take a little bit of this darker color and put that in here. Kind of just lay it down first. And once you kind of got it laid down and you're happy with it, take that off your brush with the scrap paper, get like a half a drop of water, And now I'm going to blend. So I'm going to drag the darker color back in. So I'm going to move my page this way, and I'm going to drag it back in with the half a drop of water on my brush. Remember, the direction that you hold your brush is important, because once it dries, those strokes dry and you can see what you're trying to intend. And if you're going the opposite direction of the object, then it doesn't quite make sense. I'm going to put another half a drop of water on here with some scrap paper and try to go back and blend that, and maybe put a tiny little bit of black in here. I'm getting most of it off my brush on the scrap paper, putting that in there and dragging that forward. So that area I know is going to be darker, and I'm blending it with the half a drop of water. Now we're going to paint the table area. This we paint in horizontal straight strokes. This area is going to be white with a little bit of blue, and then it's going to eventually get to medium blue. So over here we have some white paint, and we're going to start by making a light blue mixture. So we're going to put one dab of blue in there and mix it up. That's probably a hair too dark. So I'm going to start by getting another glob of white and mixing it over here. I want this to be kind of on the light side, but that's okay. So we're going to start by doing this over here. So this is white with a little bit of blue, and I'm just laying down the color. I probably should take more care. Craftsmanship is important, the quality of your work. I'm just going to lay down that area, and then I want it to get a little bit bluer. So maybe I'll use a smaller brush to get in this small area. And I'm going to do that over here. I want a nice straight line where the table meets the wall. So we're going to sneakerdoodle in there, get a good amount of paint next to it, and I'm just laying it down, and then I'm going to go back and change my strokes. So this, I'm going to use this blue that's a hair darker. So I'm going to lay that paint down. And I'm going to put some blue around this. And some blue around this. And then I'm going to take and add another drop of blue to this color right here. I'm going to mix it in. I think we can add another drop. Always want to do it in nice small increments. And then I'm going to paint that there. So I got like a medium blue. And then I'm just going to add blue to the bottom of this. I just put blue on my brush, and I'm mixing the blue in with what I have down here. Now I'm going to clean off my brush. And I'm going to put half a drop of water. See, I'm taking the extra water off, putting it on scrap paper. Now I'm going to go in a directional manner. First, I'm going to blend it. So I'm going to blend the light color to the dark color. I'm blending it. See how I'm doing that? Even strokes. Now I'm going to wash my brush off because I'm getting too much blue. I'm going to go back up here. And now I want it to be directional. So with just a little bit of water and a clean brush, I'm going back and doing my brush strokes from left to right, so it looks like a table when we get done. Cleaning off my brush, occasionally, remember, half a drop of water. I'm taking the excess off and going like that. Okay, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to spruce this up, fix that up, and next we'll do the wall. Okay, now that we have the table done, we're going to do the wall. And the wall is vertical, so it has a different brush stroke than the table, which was horizontal, and the sphere, which was a curved stroke. So what we're going to do is put 2 dabs of blue paint on our scrap paper. The first one, we're going to take maybe this much, 1 dab of black, get half of it off. We're going to mix it in. We're going to see whether or not we like it or not. I'm going to put a tiny bit more in there. I want it to be darker because that's where the shadow goes. Okay. Now I'm just going to lay down my paint right here. I'm using the bigger brush to lay down the paint. And then I'm going to go back in with the smaller brush. Now this, I only want a tiny bit of black in there. So I'm going to take and put some on my brush. Maybe get most of it off and mix it and see what I get. Okay, I do want it darker than that. I don't want it as dark as this though. And when you add black, don't forget that's called a shade. When you add white, it's a tint. Okay, I need another half of black. So I'm going to get some black on there. I'm going to get most of it off on the side over there, and then I'm going to mix that in until I'm happy with it. Okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to lay this all down here. And you do need a bigger batch of that because that's all of the background. And again, I'm just laying it down and then I'm going to blend. All right, so now I'm going to take off the majority of the paint off my brush, get a half a drop of water, and I'm going to blend those two together so I'm happy with the color transition. And I'm working my way out, half a drop of water. Okay, see how it's nicely blended here, but not as blended here. So I'm going to go back over it with a half a drop of water. That area dried. So I need to go back with the darker color, kind of put some on there. You have to work quickly. It does dry quickly. And then blend it so I'm happy. Now I'm going to get the smaller brush. Where did that little guy go? Take this color right here, the darker color, and work my way around the sphere. We want to be nice, even strokes, and craftsmanship counts. Okay, if you get too much paint on your brush, take it off on the scrap paper. It's a little globbery over here, kind of thick. I want you to go back and blend this all in together. I had too much paint there, so I'm going to use that to kind of use the line. And I'm just going to blend that in a little bit, and then I'll come back and show you the final project. Okay, I finished touching it up. So key things to keep in mind: this area is white, it gradually grows darker. That's called a tint. You start with the white, you add small marks of blue, you use a curved stroke. This is like a baby blue here. It gradually gets darker to blue. This is blue with a lot of black, progressing out to less. I'll also post a photograph for reference. Text me if you have any questions.